Well, the Nova boys have handed that over after 3 episodes holding on to that crown, and they are handing it over to the champs because Nikola Jokic, Aaron Gordon, Jamal Murray combined for a whole ton of points. Now, this game finished with an 8-point differential. And I've been around way too long to say that something that happened in the second quarter of a game would really, truly determine the outcome, unless it was like a star player getting ejected or an injury or something. But
not the case today.
The last 24 seconds of the second quarter, where the Timberwolves just basically completely lost their composure with 2 preposterous turnovers, and then Jamal Murray, well, just in case you didn't see it, I'd be surprised if you didn't, but basket, 3-pointer by Michael Porter. Ant gets the ball.
KCP. And honestly, that I thought was actually the biggest shot of the game, because the Wolves played 22 and a half seconds of spectacular defense. Rudy was denying Joker, made it tough for him to get the ball. Joker finally gets it. He doesn't have a chance to do anything other than throw a grenade to KCP. A tough 3 with McDaniels all in his face. And then Ant turns it over, and off they go. Michael Porter Jr. with the dunk on the other end.
Ant with a sort of maybe it wasn't an unforced turnover, but it was not a good turnover.
Yeah.
And Michael Porter Jr. goes full bore to get a dunk with 1.6 seconds left. It was like, wow, Denver just squeezed out a free basket there.
Yeah, quick little 5-0 run to go in a half, get a little momentum.
And then was it McDaniels? Was it Jaden McDaniels?
I think it was Alexander
Walker. Jaden McDaniels, I'm pretty sure, took the ball and tried to throw it in bounds.
Yeah.
And threw a missile that went to nobody. And then Jamal Murray, as I'm sure everybody saw, grabbed the ball,
Jamal Murray.
took a dribble, and launched a shot from right in front of Kevin Harlan's booth to then have the iconic moment of making the shot and turning and just staring at Kevin Harlan, as Kevin Harlan called it. It was one of the most amazing things you'll ever see. And it felt like the moment we're going to be looking back on in a few weeks and Denver wins the title. It just feels like the kind of moment when you see a team do that. It's like, well, they're just not going to lose.
Yeah, it was like
it's just this ridiculous sequence of events.
Super high arcing shot, which it has to be from 50 feet, but super high arcing shot. Michael, when you watch the replays, watch Michael Porter, because he's still standing down there where he got the dunk. He puts his arms out thinking it's going to go in. And of course it does. And then his mouth drops open. He was like allegedly calling it to go in, but he can't even believe it went in.
I was watching the game with somebody, and I said, as soon as Jamal caught the ball, I said, oh man, he's not going to make that, is he? And then he let it go. I was like, oh man, that looks good. I was like, it was right on line from the second he let it go. Like, holy, just unbelievable stuff.
That's the second one of those I saw this week. Isaiah Hartenstein threw one in the Garden the other night. And that was in game 1. And that was actually,
I was going to say, yeah,
that was actually a big shot too. So anyway, I thought there were times in this game where Minnesota played pretty good defense and Denver just beat them.
Dude, there were times like there's another shot earlier in that second quarter where McDaniels could not have played better defense on Jamal Murray, and shot clock going down, he just hits an unbelievable fadeaway with this 6'10" praying mantis all over him. Splash. And then Joker obviously just consistently hits crazy shot after crazy shot. And freaking Aaron Gordon.
Well, I got a quote on Aaron Gordon. So Aaron Gordon went 11 for 12 in the game, 27 points. And our guy, McTen, who's covering the series, Dave McMenamin, has a quote from Rudy Gobert up here on Aaron Gordon going 11 for 12. Quote, a lot of them were contested. So if Gordon turns into Kobe Bryant, we just got to live with that.
Man, I mean, there was one late because it kept, like, the Wolves late kept on, like, are they going to be able to make a run? Are they going to be able to get back in this thing? And he hit, it was like a 12-foot fadeaway with Gobert all over him. And again, that's just one of those things where you tip your cap. I mean, usually, like, if Gordon goes 11 for 12, you're thinking Joker fed him for 9 dunks and 2 layups, right? And there were some dunks and layups off Joker feeds, but he did hit some crazy shots, and he's been hitting his threes, and that's huge because then Rudy has to at least reconsider totally sagging off him.
Well, look, they shot 57% from the field against the best defense in the league.
On the
Like
road.
that is on the road. I mean, that is, and look, these are my single favorite games in the playoffs. 2-1 lead, underdog, because the Minnesota Timberwolves are the underdog in the series, don't have home court. On their home court, 4-game 4. Favorite, obviously trying to even up home court. These are the games that make playoff series and make, I mean, maybe to be a little dramatic, but make legends, because these are the kind of games when if you come back and win this game, get home court back in the series, you're back in control. And
sounds like what the Thunder are looking at with MacMahon.
It certainly is on Monday night. And
except for they're on the road.
Yes,
Denver's on the road.
Yes, that's the situation. They're the road team, obviously the higher seed, even though you could say it's a toss-up series. Still, you're the road team, down 2-1. You win that game, you're right back in it. You lose it, you're down 3-1. You're in all kinds of trouble. And Nikola Jokic is 35-7-7, is fantastic. Aaron Gordon hits a ton of shots. Jamal Murray makes this iconic play, gets the steal and bucket. Like, that was the last 72 hours were a championship response from Denver. And Minnesota being in the situation in the first time, they didn't handle things very well on Friday. Weren't really ready for the moment, I don't think. I think we can all agree they didn't handle that game the greatest. They came back today, they played pretty well, but they just got beat because the Chance were just better.
One guy played awesome for the Wolves. And, Ant, right after the game the other night, basically said, hey, this one's on me. I didn't show up. I'm going to be better a couple nights. And Ant was awesome. 44, 5-5. And, look, this was a game where Joker reminded you why, if you want to win one game right now, he is the guy you're taking without any questions asked. Ant reminded you why, if you're talking about who do you want to build around for the next decade, that he's put his name very prominently in that conversation. I mean, to me, you're talking about Luka, SGA, and Ant as probably and Wemby as the four guys that are in that discussion right now. He's barged his way into that discussion with the playoffs, and he was the only that they played well defensively despite the way the Nuggets shot the ball. Ant was the only reason this game was even remotely close. Off night for Cat. Nobody else.
Off night. He was 1 of 10 in the first half.
All right, an all full night for Cat. Nobody else really stepped up offensively to fill that void. It was unbelievable. And 44 from Ant just wasn't enough with the Nuggets clicking like they were. The defending champs looking like champions.
Well, and by the way, the other thing we talked about after the first two games of the series was the bench for Denver was not looking great, right? This game tonight, I'm not saying it's sustainable, but Justin Holiday, Reggie Jackson, and Christian Brown go 6 for 9 from 3. Like, that's the difference, right? Like, in an 8-point game, for all the other stuff we're talking about, those 3 guys got 18 points from the 3-point line. And, like, that's the kind of stuff when you're in games like this, that's the difference. And you look at these support guys for Minnesota, Cat was terrible. Jaden McDaniels didn't do much. Rudy had 11 points, but had 5 turnovers. Nickeil Alexander-Walker, 0 for 4 from 3, 1 for 7 from the field. Like, the support guys between Aaron Gordon and the bench, they were just so much better for Denver. And that, in a pivotal swing game like this, that ultimately helped swing it in Denver's favor.
By the way, Jokic, who has now dozens of great playoff games in his career, 16 in the fourth, the most ever in a playoff game fourth quarter for him.
Wow.
And I felt that Minnesota,
and the one for as good as Ant was, the one moment when it looked like they might have a chance, they're down 8. Jokic got open for a little runner, missed it. I was like, oh wow, he missed the shot. Rudy grabs the rebound, gets it to Ant. Ant makes a rough turnover at the top of the key.
He threw an insane pass.
Pass, trying to thread the needle to Rudy for some reason. And then Jokic comes down, gets around Cat, and he wasn't missing another one of those runners. And it went, instead of going down to 5 or 6, it goes back to 10. And at that point, the game's over.
By the way, I felt, even though we've been proceeding towards more and more physical for 3 months now, this weekend was hand-to-hand combat in these games.
It's crazy.
The primary example of which being in your game, MacMahon, on Saturday,
Yes.
where Luka Doncic and Lou Dort met like they were in Mortal Kombat in midair.
Yes.
And bodies laying all over the floor, and the ref went jump ball. I was like, jump ball.
And the last 2-minute report said that was wrong. They said it shouldn't have been a jump ball because the ball was jarred loose when they slammed to the floor.
They only had
not that there should have been any foul, but just
it should have obviously been thunder ball. Bad call by John Goebel, but
they both touched it. I guess you could say they both touched it, but that was no jump ball. But
I mean, you're talking hand-to-hand combat. Like there's one play that Thunder fans are complaining about when Dort was called for a foul going over a screen, and from one angle it's kind of okay. What was there really something? And then from the other angle, Dort's putting his knee, he's slamming his knee like into Luka's ribs.
Well, we'll talk in a minute about the way Aaron Nesmith from the Pacers playing against.
Oh yeah.
Against
it looks like
Jalen
Derek
Brunson.
Harper back in the day. It's hand check.
Yeah, the small town team might be getting some favorable whistles again.
Hey, well, $35,000 well spent.
Well, so obviously Denver takes home court back, momentum back.
MacMahon, we should reveal to the audience that over the weekend there was a prediction made about this series.
It was not an official prediction.
Au contraire. I would like to disagree with that. Would you like to share this with the audience?
It wasn't said on any ESPN platform.
The group chat's a platform.
Sure is.
Hold on. Lots of profanity.
This was screenshotted in the group chat. I can repeat it if you don't have it ready.
It was screenshotted because I deleted the text after.
Listen,
I can't find it.
I have it right here.
Okay.
Said after game 3, after Denver came away with a victory from Brian Windhorst, quote, Denver is winning the series.
Well,
direct quote.
I think 48 minutes of game time later, you probably ought to feel pretty good about that.
Well, I don't know.
I mean, the idea that
I do feel that way, but I didn't want to say it on the platform. But I do.
The idea that the defending champs are just going to roll over after getting their butt spanked on their home floor, I think was pretty foolish.
I was very. I don't know if I've covered a series in my. I'm not covering this series, but I can't remember a series in my career where I thought the performance of game 3 for the team up 2-0 was going to be more defining than that.
Yeah.
How Minnesota handled the prosperity after 3 days off, I felt was a very, very important thing.
Well, if this series goes the other way, it's not going to be today. It's going to be game 3 that they think about all summer.
And if this game,
how are the Nuggets going to come out? Like, listen, you were humiliated. You sat on that for 3 days. Michael Malone played like this, reel of talking heads. The Nuggets are done. The Nuggets are getting swept, blah, blah, blah. And like, you're going to come out and do something because the Nuggets had not looked like a team that had really taken the start of a playoff game seriously until game 3 of the series. And I was talking to somebody who's with the Nuggets, and he said, you could tell how seriously they were taking it by the way Joker was screening. Like, you think of the touch, you think of obviously the unbelievable passing, the rebounding. He says, when Joker is really locked in by the way he is screening and how, tough and physical he is with his screens. And that absolutely set the tone and opened up everything else in that game.
And Nate Duncan was all over that. Aaron Gordon and Jokic were just absolutely steamrolling those guys in screens. And that got Jamal going, and it got Denver going.